Alright, what's up everybody? It's your boy Steve of Bass Motorsports. Today we are going to be working on a Mercruiser Alpha 1 outdrive. It's a Alpha 1 Gen 2, be the same on the Gen 1s. Pretty similar on Bravo, but the cable outside where you hook it up and unhook it's a little bit different. But the gimbal bearing is what we're going after. So stick around, check out the video, and you'll be able to see how to change that gimbal bearing assembly. So today we're working on the old Stingray. This is the 87 Stingray Cuddy Cabin. So the first thing, I went ahead and let the outdrive down. Now I'm going to reach in up here and put the throttle in the forward position. Oh, she was sticking. See, that's another reason I want to take it apart, is because I'm going to lube the cable. So as you can see, all I did was engaged it forward just a hair in where you feel it just click. You don't have to floor it all the way wide open like a lot of people think you have to. All that's doing is opening the carburetor or throttle body flap. All you're doing is you push it just that first little notch. That has it engaged in forward. It doesn't matter from that point how far you push forward. You're not changing anything on that forward or reverse assembly. Got Robbie out here help me. What's up, brother? Woo! So anyway, what I always like to do is I happen to have these little ramps cut. I'm sure you could pick something else to pull up on, but it helps because now I can get the outdrive in the fully down position like I need it without it hitting the ground. Plus, since it has a swim platform, you don't want to be hitting your head and all on it too much. And the boat sits really low, so I wouldn't be able to let the outdrive down like that if I didn't park it on some wedges like that, ramps. So anyway, I'm going to set this up and let you see what we got going on here. I'm going to go ahead and pop these off. Of course, that little one ain't going to do it. You can usually just do these by hand. They're just covers. Then we got a nut under here. I think it's, let me see, 5/8, I believe. Yes, those are 5/8. I'm going to zip these off the rams. Now you would also want to check and see if your boat has the external speedo set up like this to pick up with the hose going up. If not, you're going to have a hose coming on the inside here. While your outdrive was up, you'd want to reach up in there and snap that off. Just pop it and it comes off. You usually got a push button where you can pop it off and then let your outdrive down. And we're pretty much going to work these rams off. Now this one I'm going to need a pry bar. Or if you're man, just pull it off. Just leave the ram hang down like that. Make sure you get whatever washers or hardware you have on there. Take a little weight off. There we go. Next, we're going to break these 6 bolts loose here. 3 on this side, 3 on this side. They're also 5/8. Make sure you get the washer with it. Now, I always leave one on there. I'll bring it to the end of the threads. Because if you're lucky and you got a good alignment and everything's set up not too corroded, it'll release like it just did. You don't want it to just fall all the way off, so we give it a little pops like that, and now it's ready for this nut to go ahead and come the rest of the way off. Be careful if you use a pry bar to try to get this to separate. You don't want to damage the surfaces, the face of it, where it seals. I think I'm having a little issue because I can see the water running out. I don't believe the bellow's bad. What happened is this is the one that was in a hurricane. The water was so high inside the boat that it made it in past the gimbal bearing, and it's what ruined the gimbal bearing. So I'm not sure what the U-joints are going to look like on the shaft. But I think that's why she came out so far and now she's sticking. There she goes. All right. grab her, let it come on out. Now we're going to set her on the ground over here where it ain't getting all dirt on the shaft. And find something. Here, we grab this for just a second. Don't let it fall. All right, and that is the gimbal bearing inside there. It definitely had a lot of water in it. I'm going to double check the bellow. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I had just put the bellow in the season before, and it really didn't get much use. It's just the Hurricane, like I said, let water in the opposite way from in the engine bay. And then here's a time to go ahead and check your U-joints out. Give it a wiggle, make sure nothing is real loose. They're nice and smooth. Loose that way, they're nice. But I'm actually giving it a little twist, and I don't feel anything clunking or movement that way. Nothing's sticking or any of that, so we're good with the U-joints. They do have the fittings on them, grease fittings, so I'll go ahead and pump them full of grease too. All right, so now we're going to use the gimbal bearing puller tool. This is a very good tool to have. I've done it with slide hammers and stuff like that in the past. You might get lucky and it might do it. You also take a chance on ruining the big seal that's right behind the gimbal bearing when you use those. This is definitely the ticket. Do yourself a favor and go on eBay and just buy one if you're going to do more than one gimbal bearing for doggone sure, but even on one it can pay for itself in easeability. So what it's going to do is I'm going to apply this inside the bearing. Here's the new bearing. You just put it on there and pop it and it'll go inside, and then it's got these little teeth. And when I stick this plunger piece inside there, it'll hold these where it will not just pop out of the bearing. So what we're going to do is get it lined up here. Give it a smack like that. Try to be careful of your threads. You don't want to hurt anything there. Just spin this till we get it out towards the bearing. We're going to make contact with it. I'm going to go ahead and try to put this in now. What you do is put it all the way in, but it's going to make it tough on me because the actual gimbal bearing, I reached in with my fingers. You should be able to turn it. I knew it would be a little rough because it's roaring. It's completely locked and I can't even turn it. So now this is slipping on it. But I'm still going to be able to get it out. No, wrong way. No, that's wrong way. Gotta go out, gotta go out. Now it made contact. Now that's pulling the bearing out. She's tight. There we go. All right, that's our old bearing out. Telling you, this tool does the trick. Now you could leave this on there. The only reason I take it off is because it fits in my toolbox nicely that way. So now we got the new gimbal bearing here, and we're going to place it in with the dot facing out and at 12 o'clock. Now what I like to do is, see, you've got this outside ring here. And it's just I really don't know what. I think it's for the ones that have the grease fittings. You can pump the grease and it goes around in that track. Maybe it helps hold it in, I'm not sure, but always I take it off. And what I do is, see the ends bent up a little on it too. A lot of times you'll go to hit this in and this thing will come off halfway or something like that. It gets stuck in there and that's not good. So take it off and take and do it like this and squeeze it down, make it small like that, and then let it go where it's nice and tight. There's no gap. Now put it back on real nice and easy without stretching it too much. Now it's nice and tight everywhere around, so chances are it's not going to try to back itself off. Next, we're going to install this onto the this is the alignment shaft for lining the gimbal bearing and alignment of the motor. And this little puck here is to drive the gimbal bearing in. So what we want to do, as you can see, there's a flat side and there's a concave side. You want to have that side going towards the bearing because, see, the bearing sits out a little and you don't want to be hitting on the middle. You want to hit it on this outer race. If you turn it this way, it's making contact with just this inside. You'll ruin the bearing. You want to have it like that so it's contacting the outside of the race. So just make sure you install it on the right way. And then you've got a hole there with this bolt is going to go through. So slide it down till you get it lined up and just put the bolt through. Make sure you go ahead and snug it down because it's going to take a beating. You don't want it to strip the threads or anything. Don't have to be extremely tight, just make sure it goes all the way through. Take your bearing, dot out and at 12 o'clock. So if you have like a little line, or just make sure you hold it nice and straight when you're sticking it in. You want to get it as lined up as you can. Try to hold your handle nice and straight. Smack the hell out of it. Hope you got a big hammer. You pretty much hear the difference when it seats. And that one's fully seated, but I'm going to give it another smack to make sure. Give it a little twist. Oop. Yeah, she's in. All right. And of course the sleeve came off anyway halfway. After I tried to not let it do that. Yeah, see it? I hate when this shit does that. Yeah. Alright, so as you can see, that sleeve came off halfway. So that's a no good, no bueno. I'm going to go ahead and pull the bearing, and it won't hurt it because the way I'm using the smooth puller, it's not like I'm using a slide hammer or something. So unfortunately, I have to pull it back out, tighten that again, even tighter, and then we'll try it again. Hope for the best. Yeah, what happens, even to the best of us. It's what happens even to the most skilled. Or that's what they tell me anyway. That came out real simple. Luckily. And that's the ring. It got a little bent up. I think I can reuse it. I'll try to straighten it. If it don't look good, I'll grab the one off the old bearing. It's still in good shape. Guess I'll leave this together until I make sure the bearing's in the right way. Give her a spin. Feels perfect. Didn't take much to pull it out. It didn't hurt anything. Yeah, I'm gonna actually take this one off because I don't like it got a little too crushed and it's not laying smooth. So I'm just going to take the one off the old one. A lot of this is just grease, a little bit of dirt where I threw it down. It's not rust or any of that or corrosion. Alright, so we're just going to use this one because like I said, it's not that old. It's only 2 years old and it really doesn't have that much run time on it. I've got a couple videos where I might have went to the rivers, Crystal River and stuff down in Florida looking for the springs and Three Sisters Springs. So it's only got so many hours, you know, that ain't very high. But the water intrusion from the hurricane on the inside of the boat is what got it. So that one's on pretty tight. We're going to try this again.
Guess again, make it more.
Alright, so we're going to try this again. New bearing, using the old sleeve off the other one because there was nothing wrong with the sleeve. And it's nice and tight on the new bearing, so we're going to try this again. Try to get it as straight as you can. Give it some love taps. What I'm going to do this time, I took my tool out. I'm looking in to make sure it's good before I drive it the rest of the way. As of right now, it looks great. So I'm just going to continue. I don't see the sleeve coming off anywhere. She is not all the way in yet.
So basically what we're doing here is stretching the fucking bearing out so the fuck goes in.
Straightening the bearing. This is the alignment part, y'all. I know the motor's in alignment with the boat and the back assembly, or else the outdrive wouldn't have just come off, which I had to pry it a little bit. But what I'm doing is we're going to push this in now through the gimbal bearing and into the back of the boat, which is not going real easy. Excuse me. Because just because we punched a new gimbal in doesn't mean it's straight. The inside of that bearing does swivel. That's why it's called a gimbal bearing. Not just because this is a gimbal housing. The gimbal bearing actually moves. So we're going to tap it in there into the back of the coupler. Like so. Now I can spin it a little. I would like it to be a little straighter. And so I'm going to try to pull it. I don't think it'll come out. She's not. So now I'm going inside the boat. And I'm going to turn the boat over. If it cranks up, that's fine too. But I'm at least going to spin it over. And my brother Robbie's going to be out here. And he's going to take the hammer and hit on this. Just bumping it up sideways. And that, with the shaft spinning from the motor spinning, it'll align everything. And then I'll be able to come out and just pull the shaft out. We can give it a try with it off. Usually doesn't work quite as well as with it running. Definitely not as fun. So let's do that now.
You know what you're doing, it's on now.
Will it come out at all?
No.
No? Alright, hold on. I'm going to see if it starts. It's the first time it's been started in a year, y'all. Alright. Will it move?
No.
No?
No, sir. I'm pitting it pretty decent too.
Oh, I know. I can hear it.
I'm not whacking it.
Yeah. Let's do it again.
Alright.
Try hitting it upwards.
Alright, bud. Okay. Yep, came right out. Put it back in?
Yeah, let's see if it'll go in and out easy now. Should go in and out by hand.
It's going in far enough. You have to come back there and test that. Yeah, it's going in. But I don't know how far you want it to go in.
All the way, baby, all the way.
I know, but it came out easy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, hell yeah, that's her. That's what you want, folks. When you get it right there at the bearing, you spare it. I'm touching the back of the splines now on the coupler. Give it an easy push like that. Still spin it. They say it's better if you can just use a couple fingers. I ain't gonna say it's quite that loose, but I can pull it right out, so that's good. Now you can also check with your grease. I'm gonna spread the grease out even right here. Okay. So I've got it all nice and smooth, no marks. What I'm going to do is keep this shaft perfectly straight without spinning it. Stick it in, pull it straight out, and then I can look at my marks here. I know this is the top. I'm going to spin it so you can see. The bottom is not really touching, only the top. So it's a hair off, but I'm not worried about that little bit because, like I said, the tool goes right in and out. And if anything, when the outdrive's on, I actually put it in the water and start driving it, that'll adjust itself out even better. Alright, so I came up into the boat. Now I want to lube my cable, so I'm going to take this end piece off. I'm going to undo the little 7/16 here, and back here pull my pin, get this assembly over, and I'll show you that. Alright, so I got the cable pulled out. Now I've got these two little square assemblies on the sides. I'm going to undo them, and then this whole sleeve will pull off the end of this cable. Alright, so now I'm going to reach in here and pull this cable out. It must have gotten a little dry because about 2 seasons ago she got stuck on me. It kept dying when I'd go to put it in reverse. It was making the kill switch on the manifold in there trigger every time I'd go to reverse. So I was already where I was going. I spent a bunch of money to get there. I said, oh man, I can't just leave and ruin my trip now. So I pulled it up on the landing, or into the parking lot, took the end off inside like I just showed you, sprayed a bunch of WD down the cable and kept working it little by little and spraying more and more. I did get her working, and I didn't pay no more attention the rest of that season because it was doing so good. And then it went through the hurricane. So then last year when I was trying to do my quickie restore and get her back on the water, I never messed with the cable. It was doing good. But now this year I noticed it hung up when I went to put it in forward. It wouldn't even hardly go. So I'm going to go ahead and lube it while I got the foot off. That way I don't run into any problems. Alright, so we got the cable out. She's actually clean. I went in and got a file and got the little burr off the end. So hopefully it goes back in alright. Got me some Vaseline. That's what I like to lube it up with. So we're putting a real thin coat on it and going to start working it back in. I'm just kind of spreading it down the cable as I'm feeding it in. Making sure no dirt or debris or anything gets on it. It only needs a really thin coat, just something to keep it lubed up. Because because it was definitely dry. Now if you take one of these out, and it's the newer style that has the black lined cable, it's made out of a certain material, you could just leave them dry. You're probably better off. This one is the old stainless, as you can see, so it benefits from being lubed up. And that's that. We got the cable lubed. So it's smooth. It shouldn't get to where it freezes and sticks anymore. So now hopefully she won't have that problem out of when you put it in reverse, tries to die. Forward or reverse, either one. It'll trigger the kill switch that's on the side of the manifold. Right. Now I'm just going to take a scrape blade and clean up the gasket surface, get this old one off here. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get the surface clean without doing any gouging or hurting anything. Don't scratch it up too bad or anything. This one I had used like some of the weather strip adhesive. I just put like a dot here and a dot here and a couple spots to hold the paper gasket on last time I put it on, because sometimes if you're fighting the outdrive, the paper gasket will fall off the studs. You don't want to tear it and stuff like that. So I just had to make sure I got all that off. And then you got the one big O-ring that goes right here for the water inlet. Just take a little Vaseline and stick on it, put it right in the groove, and that'll hold it in place while you install the outdrive. Alright, so this is what's going to come in your kit. You got the paper gasket to go on the bell housing here, and like I said, make sure it's nice and clean, because that's one of your only seals. It's only a thin paper one, so if you have anything stuck on there from the old gasket, it's not going to let it seat nice. You will get water intrusion. This big O-ring, you can either stick it in here now and push it up against that little ridge, or you can stick it right on the outdrive. As you can see, my old one came out with the outdrive. You can just stick it right up on that lip there. And so you can do it either way. Like I said, pop it in here first or put it on the outdrive, whichever you like. The bigger O-ring out of the kit, this is going to be your one for the water outlet here. Just like I said, put some, if you've got the marine grease, that's fine, put some on, or if you just got Vaseline or something, I always keep that around the shop because I use it on a lot of different rubber pieces and different assemblies, even as you see the shift cable itself. So go ahead and coat that, stick it right in the groove, and it'll hold it in place. These three are for the shaft on the outdrive here, which this one being a early Gen 1, I don't think it uses the third. It doesn't. It's only got the two smaller O-rings here. You just pop right in them grooves. Trying to get everything lined up. Big glob of Vaseline or the marine grease, either one. About to hit them splines on the shaft. I'm gonna take my scrape blade, make sure this surface is clean. It looks pretty good. Alright, now, if you didn't undo your cable like I did, then your shifter assembly piece down here should be nice and straight. You can take a look under, make sure mine is straight. Now inside here on the drive itself, you want to look in and make sure your prop didn't make it turn. If you turn your prop, it will move that little arm. You want the arms straight so they meet up together when you slide the assemblies together. Try to pick your shaft up, make sure it goes into the gimbal bearing. We're going to walk it up there as close as we can. Now this one's being a pain in the butt because I got the boat so high I need some wood down here to help me get it supported straight. Now that's why I say you got to be careful of that gasket. It's so easy to tear that paper gasket. I also see, since the gasket moved a little, the rubber O-ring for the water inlet's already fell down. So I'm going to try to get the outdrive started and then put the O-ring in place and then push the outdrive all the way. Okay, now I had to reach down, give the prop just a little turn in the where I could tell it was making the spline turn because the spline was not lined up with the coupler inside there on the engine. There's no way it would go. So now I have it, I felt it fall into place. I know it's lined up, so now it's just a matter of getting it pushed into place. I gotta find my O-ring before I push it all the way on. It must be trapped down in the outdrive assembly there. I'm gonna have to back it up a little and look. Alright, so I do have the O-ring. Put some more Vaseline on it. See if I can get it worked in here into place. That's why sometimes I like to use like a sealer or weather strip adhesive, just a couple dots on the back side of that gasket to hold the paper gasket in place to where it doesn't move. So right now, the O-ring is in place. Both of my shift shafts are lined up. I should be able to just push the assembly together now. As long as your engine alignment is correct. Gimbal alignment. Okay. Now it's together. I left a little gap. I want to make sure one last time that my O-ring is in the place. And it is. So now we're going to get her seated up. That's that. Now we're just going to start taking our washers, put them on, and the nut. You have one down here that doesn't get a washer because it has the built-on little corrosion conductor type thing. I'm not sure what it's to help with the electrolysis. So we're just going to put these on and tighten everything down right here. These 6 nuts on these studs. I'll go ahead and tighten one down and get it snug to where I know the assembly's tight. Do them in a cross pattern here. I like to do these 2 middle and any of these 4 because that's where all your pressure is going to be on the shaft going into the coupler. If there is any pressure, there won't be any down here. So get these 4 snug down first and then do these. But I at least want one of them together to keep it together where I know that O-ring is not going to fall out of slot. Got your big hold washer. It slides on the shaft up against the outdrive. Bring your ram up. Now this one happens to have the 2 tapered bushings. They're both in place. Got your other big washer with the small hole. That goes on the outside here. And your nut. All right, so now I just got to put my little trim caps back on. They just screw on the end here of the ram to cover that. That's pretty much it. Now, I'll have to go back inside and do some cable adjustments because I undone my cable. Excuse me. And you shouldn't have to do that unless you undo your cable inside like I did to lube the cable or to change your bellows. And unfortunately, this wasn't a video on doing the bellows. I have another video on doing the Bravo 3 setup, which is very similar as far as the bellows. This was just to show you how to do the gimbal bearing. But anyway, I'm glad if you stuck around through the video this long to see what happened and we get her together and all that good stuff. And I'll probably have some videos on this soon. I'm going to take her out to the lake this weekend and try her out. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hope you like what you've seen. If you did, give me a thumbs up. And hopefully you subscribe to the channel already. If you haven't, how about do that for me, please? We're trying to get her to grow. And I hope y'all have a blessed day. Steve-O out.